Okay, we're going to be watching Doppelganger, who is a Masters 5 support playing Kiriko on Lijiang Tower. Looking for advice to push fully into Masters support. Master 5 support, but barely, losing more games than I have before, but they've been so close, so there's definitely room for me to improve and actually win them. Looking for someone to take a look at one of these close games and diagnose where I'm going wrong, what I could work on to improve. I assume I need to be landing more kunai, but I'm losing space too, so I think I need to be more aggressive. I'm struggling balancing healing with that. Okay, so fun fact, to anyone who's not read the Reddit thread, I actually recorded a video on this one already last night. That's like 40 minutes long or something, which is actually great. This is actually probably one of the best replays I've ever seen in terms of like I think the amount of educational content that we can glean from it. Unfortunately, I accidentally deleted that video, so we're gonna do this again. And the good news is, I think that it actually can be a better video now because I know what's going to happen and I can tell you the general themes ahead of time, and we can look for them right as we go instead of before where it's kind of like a hey, what do I see as I watch. Now I can be like, I've already watched it. This is what I see. Let's focus on the points. All right. So the 4 points that I highlighted here were number one, you attack too much in critical moments, and specifically, I want you to look at your lineup and figure out how much healing your team needs from you. All right. So look at your lineup right now. So first of all, what's your other support? Okay, they're a Lucio. That means you're not going to get a lot of healing from them, right? For example, if you had an Anna or you had a Moira, right, you're going to get a lot more healing. Even Brig, a lot more healing than Lucio will give you. Lucio is pretty much the lowest, or second lowest, I'd say, behind Zen, right? Lowest healing, second lowest healing support that you can get. That means you need to pick up more of the share of healing, which means you need to attack less. Okay. Now, looking at your tank is Ryan. Ryan is a very greedy tank, right? He needs a lot of healing to do his job. Doesn't make him a bad tank. That's just nature of his role. He needs healing to do his job, right? As opposed to if you're running Ball, which needs almost no healing from you, right? Doomfist only needs some healing. Hog needs some healing. Jagger Queen needs maybe a little more, right? One tier above. Tanks like Orisa, Ryan, Zarya need a lot of healing from you. Sigma, not so much healing, okay? Now, looking at your DPS, Reaper needs a good amount of healing from you. Cassidy needs a lot of healing from you, right? There used to be an old meta in Overwatch 1 where your team would have a Cassidy and everyone would just pocket the Cassidy and keep the Cassidy alive because he has tremendous carry potential. And still does, frankly. So, if you look at your team in this lineup, this is a lot of healing your team's going to expect of you. It's not too much healing. I think you could do this as Kiriko, but it is a lot of healing, and you should be thinking that, hey, I need to heal a lot here, right? Again, if you're running an Anna or Moira or whatever, like you can attack more, heal less, but your team's going to need a lot of healing. All right, so that's number one, is we want to see you healing more in this game, and you should have known that from the very beginning just looking at your lineup. Number two, you're consistently a few seconds late on rotation, and that matters, right? In Masters Plus, we're going to be looking for every little advantage we can, and you're consistently slow because you don't swift step with your team, and because you're not following Lucio around. A combination of those two factors is going to consistently be that you can't get as much healing out because you're not able to turn the corner and get to your tank, for example, or your tank is going to need to wait for you or something like that. And it's going to be bad. Number three, optimizing micro positioning. And this is one that I can't really explain right now, but we're going to cover it in the game where we find the little details. We're like, hey, you should have been going left instead of right. Okay, you should have been 3 meters back instead of 3 meters forward. All right. The last one is optimizing your decision making. Okay, there's going to be a bunch of examples in this game where we cover how your decision making could have been a little bit better and give your team a slightly better chance to win the game, which is, of course, all you needed at the end of the day because the game is, in fact, very close, right? If you lose the game, 2-1, 100 to 99%, all you needed was one play, right? One fight-winning play to win the game. And if you make, let's say, 5 or 6 opportunities where you do something a little differently, and each one of those gives you, a 10% chance, a higher chance of winning the fight, then that's a 60% cumulative chance of turning the game, right? Just with those little plays. So, let's watch. So, for starters, we've already noticed you have fallen way behind the team. This might not seem like a lot. In Diamond and below, who cares? This is not going to make a difference. But your Ryan is going to turn this corner a lot sooner than you are, right? Let's just watch. Over here, let's watch this corner, and you're going to see the Ryan reach the corner right now. Okay? So you see how you swift stepped up now? That was a bad choice, okay? Well, I mean, under the circumstances, it was the best choice. But the fact that you use your swift step this late means the other team can see that you swift stepped, and now you are diveable. Okay, imagine, because you didn't know what the lineup was, right? Imagine if they had like Winston, Genji, Tracer right now, and the second you swift step, everyone dives you, then you die. Because no one can save you at that point. All right, you should have swift stepped a lot sooner. Probably right around here. Sorry, that's a little too far. Right around here, I would have swift stepped. Right, swift step to the Rhine and just follow the Rhine in. Okay. Just noting that, because again, you're too late, you recognize that too late, and you swift step too late. Alright, so let's play this fight out. So, because you're too late, alright, because you just got here, we can see from the animation, you just got here, nobody's received any healing from you yet, right? You threw this healing over here, but your Ryan got it, but it didn't matter, because your Ryan was full health. At this point, you would have had the opportunity to heal Lucio, who's playing way in front. Lucio's clearly looking for the boop here, okay? But his rollout is not good enough. He's not going to get there in time, and he's going to be in danger. Your healing would already be basically in the air, right? You'd have 100, I think it's like 110 health worth of healing in the air to him right now, which you'd be receiving. Then you'd be tossing more healing to him, not to the Ride, because the Ride's no danger here, right? Ride's missing 100 health, but he's behind this pillar, and he's got shield, right? The Lucio is in a lot of danger right now, and you should be pumping your first heal into Lucio, second heal into the Lucio. Let's watch the Lucio and see what happens. He goes for the boop, he's too late, okay? Lucio crazy low. Again, right now, your first batch of healing would have already healed him, and his second batch would be, at this point, nearly healing him as well. So he would be at like 150 plus health right now, right? Then you would have gotten this, right? You notice he takes a splash, right? You miss on this heal. You see you miss all of this healing, and the Lucio dies. Is this an unlucky direct? This is an unlucky direct, okay? He's kind of like in the air jumping off a wall, is an unlucky direct. However, the goal of a support is, I just noticed that the explosion has like an arc that moves with you. The goal of support is to cover up for teammates' mistakes. The Lucio has made a mistake. You easily could have, one, been here sooner, in which case the Lucio would be higher on health, or two, you could have landed that heal, that big heal that went to the wall, and your Lucio wouldn't have died. All right, because your Lucio barely dies here, right? He has like, I think 80-ish health when he gets hit. Right, 100, eats the direct. All he needed was 19 health. 19 health, which is one paper, I believe. One paper would have saved him here. And then your team would be in a much better position. Okay. So, that's a good example of, like, both, I think, your healing mechanics being off. We're actually going to see that a lot. I didn't mention this in the original comments, but I would also highlight that you miss a lot of heals. Which I don't think is acceptable at Masters. Like, you're missing them in, like, pretty easy situations. Like, I would not consider this a hard heal to land all the heal, or at least 80% of the heal on. It's tracking ability, after all. So, that's an example of being a late rotation, right? And then not having the right heal priority / etc. There's the general healing of people and letting them die is no good. Get missed there. He dies. Okay. So for right now, I see you look to the right. I don't think you worry about it, right? Your ride's super low. He's at the choke. I know you look to the right, and you're like, okay, look, stay with the ride. That's correct. The correct call is to stay with the ride. So you notice that these two papers go to the wall, right? Again, you miss a bunch of healing here. So let's watch. So look at how much healing you just missed right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all into the wall. Okay, now we go again. 1, 2, right? And then Yusuzu, 3, 4 misses. Okay, and I think 2 go into the ride. This is all your fault. Like, this is your responsibility to land these heals. The ride is not playing crazy far. It's not like going in here. He's playing at this choke, which is a totally reasonable spot, and you're missing them. Like, he steps like a little bit, but he's a ride. He has to. You should be playing the right side of this pillar, not the left side. And as a result of that, a micro-positioning mistake, you end up missing about 80% of your healing on the Rhine here, which forces the Rhine backwards and puts him in a bad position. Okay? Again, all that healing should have been you.
Be purified.
Rest of this is fine. Okay. Let's look. So you throw one kunai here, and the second kunai here. And then you miss 4 heals, right? How many Fudas do we actually fire with one shot? It's like 8? I feel like this number here is not enough. I really should know this, but it's like very misleading. Anyway, so watching this again, right? I want to look at when you throw these kunais, all right? Your Ryan right now is missing about 150 health. Right? You threw one kunai to the right, one kunai to the left. That is a full cycle of healing that you could have put into the Ryan. And then you miss all of this healing right here. So because of your 2 kunais and the fact that you were tracking your Ryan the whole time, you missed something like about 2 full cycles of healing, right? So roughly 200 health of healing you just did not give your Ryan right now, which is an enormous difference on what your Ryan can do. Okay, at 430, your Ryan's like, okay, I can like sort of fight this, especially since you shouted. I like don't really want to fight it. If I have full health, I'm swinging away at this Junker Queen. Okay, so this is a big mistake. Those kunais you threw had 0 value, right? You threw one at the wall over here and one at the wall over here. Again, the Pharah is like being pocketed. Even if you hit her, it's not gonna do anything, right? Even a headshot is not gonna do anything. Nobody can follow up at this angle. All right, that healing super important. Now, let's watch what a Junker Queen does, okay? Cassidy kills Mercy. Junker Queen comes straight for you. So you should recognize that you are in danger right now, right? You take the shot. Junker Queen does a lot more damage than you expect. Like, she does like 100 damage per shotgun shot, and at longer ranges than most shotguns. So, she's coming. You should have swift stepped before this point. This cleave does a lot of damage, right? I think it's something like 80 plus 60, like, or 70 plus 60, something like that. I should have looked this up ahead of time. But it's a lot of damage. I would say pretty 70 plus 50. Let's call it like 120. That feels about right. So it's a lot of impact damage plus a lot of bleed. You should never be in range to get hit by this cleave. So when you saw this Junker Queen start coming for you, she's clearly coming from you, right? There's no doubt. You saw this charge miss. The second I saw this charge miss, I'm swift stepping to my Cassidy. There's no reason for you to stick around. I don't need to worry about trying to like stay in here and play with my Ryan because there's no way my Ryan is dying. You've seen the kill feed. You see the Cassidy kill the rest of their team. There's only one who could die here is you. You just need to get out of here, and your Ryan can just solo the Queen from here. Right? It is a mistake to get this close to dying. Right? That is as close as you possibly could cut it to dying. It is ultimately a good dodge, but I don't think you should have cut it that close. There's no need to. The fight was already won. Again, little details like that. Try to improve your margin of error if you can. Right now, throwing kunai is great. Cool, no problem. Again, see how many heals you're missing. It's a lot. You're often clicking heal before you're actually targeting. Is the reason why you're missing it. Okay, so things have begun in earnest. Right? A lot of stuff going on. The first thing I would note is you're falling behind in healing. Okay? If you could keep up, like their team is doing X amount of damage a second. Let's say it's 100 damage a second. At 100 damage a second, you should be able to heal nonstop, right? And your team should never drop below full health, right? Except for briefly while the healing's in the air. You're missing a bunch of healing, right? Because you're just kind of spraying it around. Okay, so for example, you don't even finish healing the Cassidy right there, right? Now your Ryan is getting pushed. If I were you, I would have stepped up to at least behind my Reaper, like right here. Why? I'm in no real danger here, okay? The Pharah, sure, right? But besides the Pharah, and Lucio's helping to heal off Pharah, right? You can see your Lucio's in Hero Aura. Besides the Pharah spamming me, I'm in no real danger. If I feel like, oh, I'm really in danger, I can start backing back up. But you want to play closer because that time your healing takes to get to the Rhine is going to change how your Rhine feels in terms of comfort level. And I really want my Rhine to hold this choke as long as my Rhine possibly can. I think you should play closer. Right? At least until the Pharah gets quick pressure. Okay, great. So, Pharmacy's going left, your Rhine's holding the choke. What do? Stay with the Rhine, okay? Your Lucio can go and help your DPS peel the Pharmacy if you need to. But at least for now, I would stay here, okay? Shatter. Try to throw kunais. Okay, that's fine. Yep, you see in there. Toss heal. Again, you notice 2 of them are off target. You like snap away too soon. You happen to get enough healing, but that's fine. Alright, and we continue. Okay. So, What happens this time? They've decided not to go bridge because they're like, look, we have a queen, or rather, we have a ride, right? Both teams had a ride, but they decide, hey, like with the Lucio or whatever, they don't want to come to Seer, which I think is the right call. They rotate and try to go inside. So look, the moment your ride realizes that they're going inside, what does your ride do? Your ride starts charging towards this way to rotate and mirror their movements. That's exactly what your ride should do. What do you do? All right. Ryan's gonna start moving soon. So, that little movement that you did is a mistake. Okay? It's subtle, but watch it. Ryan starts going. You see how you jump backwards here? And then you start walking forwards. Why is this such a big deal? Because it slows your rotation. Okay? There's no reason for you to jump backwards. You're not under any pressure. Okay? There's no reason. You didn't need to open up the angle. Just start rotating. Okay? Just start rotating right away. And because you're slow, you don't have line of sight to be able to heal the Cassidy, and you don't have line of sight to be able to start helping your Ryan. Because this is the point where your Ryan starts taking damage. You should already be like right here, for example, healing. Okay? Now, number one, you're slow to rotate. Okay? Which also is relevant because you don't get speed from the Lucio to get in there faster as well. Okay? That's number two. And number three, you could just swift step here to get in faster. And that's exactly what I would do if I was caught this. Like, this is quite out of position. Right? For Master's level, this is very out of position. And you should get in there faster. Okay. Now things have gotten interesting. Alright? You're playing over here. Ryan's over here. What do? Realistically, you actually don't want to be playing this open up angle because people will be able to attack you very easily. You really want to be playing this angle as long as the pharmacy doesn't come through this window. Alright? Because this Ryan is going to end up LOSing your healing. Alright? That's a possibility. Or their Ryan could step up and like shield, and the rest of the team doesn't have damage. The Ryan could die and block, because he'll block all your healing. I think you actually want to be playing this side. But again, because you're slow to rotate, you don't have the opportunity to get there. I would play this side unless I hear the pharmacy on that side, on like in the window above me, and then I would swift step over. But based on what I see of the rocket, I can tell that the Pharaoh is over here. Again, see all this healing that's missed. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? All into the wall. This is healing your Ryan definitely needs right now. Unquestionably, your Ryan needs this right now. And you missed all the healing. Okay? Finally get him with the heal. Then you do this crazy maneuver that you get away with. You just walk in front of cover across this point. There are a million things that you could have died from. It's not like you knew exactly what was here and that you'd be safe. Alright? The Anna could, for example, have slept you, right? The Farah could have still been right here and just two-shot you. The Cassidy could have been right about to peek the corner, right? And then shoot you / sticky you or whatever. You could easily have died here. This was a crazy thing you just did to rotate over. Because again, you realize I'm on the wrong side of the point, and then you got there too late. Number one. Number two, the Farah is actually here, right? The Farah has finally decided to play this window. This place has now become unsafe, right? The safest place to play is actually right here. Amusingly, right? Or potentially right here or right here. But the spot you're in right now is actually in grave danger. Okay. So your Ryan gets slept. You Suzu, I think that's the right call. Right? Did heal. Ryan needs a great counter charge. Ryan played very well in this game. Okay. So your Ryan is clearly falling behind. So why is your Ryan falling behind? Your Ryan's falling behind because you haven't been able to keep up the whole time, right? He's just permanently behind the whole time. He's permanently behind. Because you weren't able to get the heals into them because of the combination of mechanics and position. So you rush here, which I think is fine. I think rush here is okay. Alright. Let's look at this charge. So, let's watch your positioning once this charge happens. Okay, healing. Charge is starting. He's clearly on your left, okay, which means you should be going to the right. And watch how you walk into the path of the charge. Like it's as though you were intentionally trying to get charged. All right? There's no reason for that to happen. At this level, that shouldn't happen. It's not like he was very close. You had little time to react to it. You had a lot of time to react to this. Go over here, right, playing in real time. Charges, you just start walking forwards, and then you eat it. Right? Again, very lucky that the Rhine dies. I mean, obviously they're already in a bad shape, but very lucky that the Rhine dies before pinning you. All right. So, what happens after this? So you should notice right about here, you heard the Cassidy shoot from behind you, and you see your Cassidy turn. Okay? That should have been your cue to be like, what the heck? That Cassidy's extremely close to me. Alright? You should have immediately reacted to that, or at least clocked it in some way if you didn't turn. Because right now your Rhine's purple, right? You can't heal anyway. So you could have turned, Suzu'd yourself to make sure you don't get charged, and then fought the Cassidy off with your Cassidy. But that's actually not, I think, the biggest problem. I understand you're not like having an instant reaction to this, but you should at least recognize that Cassidy was there. But as this fight develops, so charge happens, he dies, right? Rhine kills Rhine, great. Then Reaper dies, you guys trade, I think. Oh, actually, you don't trade. So you see their Cassidy kill your Cassidy, which you should have heard all along. All right. Then at this point, you should have recognized, hey, what happened to the Cassidy that was right next to me, right? That object permanence, recognizing that someone who was next to you and was a threat, will still be a threat later if no one has dealt with him. And knowing your Cassidy lost a 1-1 must tell you that Cassidy's still alive. And you could easily have saved yourself here by just throwing a couple kunais at this Cassidy. Because if you don't hit him, he cannot peek you this low. He would just go for the mega if he saw that you're looking at him. But you don't, so he gets to freely shoot you. Okay? He lands a headshot in a second, and then a bot shot, and then you die. Okay? So, I want to highlight, this was an entirely preventable death. Not only could you have not died, you could have killed the Cassidy very easily. He has like 40 health, I think. 44 health, right? So 2 kunais to the body, right, would have easily have kept you alive and killed him. Right? So, I think it's very important to recognize there's so many things here that could have gone differently. I don't blame you for not saving your Cassidy in a 1-on-1. I think that would be very hard to recognize that situation. But dealing with the Cassidy after your Cassidy dies, I think was well within your skill level. Sorry, blowing my nose. Alright, so we're going to play this out. Your Rhine's going to die now because it's not a sustain point. Alright, so let's start over here. You're coming on spawn, and your team, just like their team, does not want to play bridge, right? They want to go inside. That's fine. Why are you running around in the back healing right now? Your team is obviously rotating. Like this is like platinum, if not gold level awareness. Your team is obviously rotating to left. Like they're not clumped here because they're having a little party or they're going to try to spam them down from the position. They're obviously all rotating to the left. Why are you killing time in the back trying to heal? And when I say this, you see how you're throwing kunais? It's not like you're just walking from spawn and they start before you, right? You're already here. You could already start walking that direction. You see your team's rotating, you throw some heals, you walk backwards, and then you start to rotate. Look how long your Rhine has to wait there because of you. Okay? Let's watch again. So, clock this. Right. Rhine comes out. Rhine's in position. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. Your team's all through. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. That time, and in the previous video, I clocked it about 3 seconds. Your Rhine had to wait for you for about 3 seconds. Why? As one of the most mobile supports in the game, why is your Rhine waiting for you? Why didn't you just stick with the team? Why didn't you swift step once you realized the rotation was starting? That's on you. Okay? Every second that you waste is an opportunity for your team to get spammed down, A, and B, it reduces the advantage. Because the extra 3 seconds means that their team has more time to rotate. So now their Rhine is going to be in position where he might not have been, or at least their whole team won't be set up, if you had simply rotated sooner. I think at Masters, that is unacceptable for you to have been holding up your team like that. I think that you absolutely have to rotate faster. Okay. So, right call is Suzu there. Nano's up. The Fair is pushing you, right? The safest place for you to be is on point, right? Specifically, you want to teleport to your Reaper right now, because this Fair is going to come try to hunt you down. Okay? You don't want to teleport to Lucio, obviously, because Lucio would be right here. And you don't want to teleport to your Ride, because of Nano Ride. But your Reaper is totally safe. That's who you should teleport to already. Right? You eat the shot. This is a super dangerous place to be, and you should have died. Okay? That is a bad Swift Step. Obviously, it was the best that you had in that situation, but you should never have been in that situation to begin with. You happen to win this point. Great. But for the record, you should have died. Alright, Lucio comes in. Alright. So this is a situation where I think attacking is actually potentially a good option. Okay? Because your Ryan can't do anything against the Pharmacy. You can, but the Ryan can't do anything against the Pharmacy. And ultimately, we do this run around. Your DPS end up being all the way over in the middle of nowhere. Actually, I want to track it back and figure out where Lucio dies. Right. I think you are being too defensive here, too passive. Because you're not able to help anyone on the other side of the point. So, let's see when you switch that. Okay, let's start from the beginning of the attack to make sure we track this right. Right, Lucio's in. Right. Okay, so you switch step right now because the ball forces this. I understand this. I think there's a good argument that you should never be here. Your Ryan is way out of position for some reason. So, I think I kind of understand. But I think you have to be walking forward right now for sure. I think you recognize that part. Right, Slam comes down. Right, I would look at you looking at a Swift Step right now. I think you should Swift Step to your Tracer right now. Because your Ride is in no danger. Ball can't do anything against Ride. Okay, it's going to take the ball forever to do any meaningful damage to the Ride. The Pharmacy can, but the Pharmacy is not actually going for your Ride. I don't think it's possible to save your Lucio in this situation. I think in a small enclosed area like this, the Pharmacy was going to almost guaranteed to kill him. But I think going to your Tracer right now and giving your Tracer help would be the right call. Because if you're out here healing up your Tracer never dies. This happens still, but, you know, kind of lucky that you're able to get this off. Right? Because in that situation, the Pharah shouldn't be ulting the Ride. She should be ulting you to kill you and then kill the Ride, because the Ride can't do anything against her. Alright, so now you're in kind of a bad situation because it's you two versus 3, and the Ride can't hit, you know, basically 2 of them, 3 of them arguably. You try to get out, which, you know, it's not really much point, but great, you live. So, last fight, hopefully. Now, in the previous video, I talk about there's times where it's a good idea to Suzu Piledriver. I think this is one of those times where you should have actually walked forwards, stayed at the way, because you know Piledriver's coming, right? You should have walked forward and then Suzu'd when he Piledrives. Why? Number one, I know the ball has to be getting close to ulti, right? Because he switched before the beginning of last fight. It was a very long previous fight, and now we're already in fight number 2. I would guess the ball is somewhere around 3/4 ulti. Right? From just game sense awareness. So I want to deny ult charge from a slam, which would give him a lot of ult. In fact, it gives him, I think, 7-8% here. A. B. The Cassidy's around the corner to the left. I do not know what is around the other corner, because you just got to this fight. So this Cassidy, when he gets pile driven up, could just die in the air. That's entirely a possibility, right? From the Tracer and the Pharaoh. So, C. Cassidy does a lot of damage at close range. If you Suzu him here, he can fan the hammer and then fan the hammer and then blow up the ball. He probably won't kill him, but he'll do a lot of damage to the ball and make the ball not as much a threat for the rest of like the next 5-6 seconds at least. I think you should have Suzu'd this. Alright, keep the Rhine up. I think rush here is okay. Again, not the time to be throwing kunais, but because your team's already up, right? You just keep everybody up, you win this fight. Right? If your team is down, you can start thinking about throwing kunais. But if your team is up, just heal. Great Suzu, right? Excellent Suzu. arguably fight winning right there. Like Tracer really should have forced your kunai out just by shooting you. Okay, good. All right. So this ends up being a mistake, but you should have recognized here that the Cassidy was being chased. Because I think you hear... Yeah, you would have heard the Pharah coming that way. It's tough. I understand the situation. I think it's tough. I think you recognize that this Cassidy almost feels like he's dead. I understand the instinct, but there's like very little you could have done to save him in this situation. In the previous video, I actually talked about how I think you should have Suzu'd the after minefield goes down. Let's watch it. So I think you should have held Suzu. Because right then you're actually under no danger, right? What you're doing is you're getting booped. Is that true? No, I guess you're getting hit by the Pharah too. Yeah, I guess looking back at this, I don't think there's actually a lot you could have done differently. Or at least you could have really... the optimal play was to try to hold Suzu, not get hit by the Pharah, and then have Suzu now to potentially like go here and save your Cassidy. But in reality, I don't think it's reasonable to look at the situation that you could have realized what was going to happen. And I think attacking was okay. Alright, so you end up losing this point, which is really unfortunate because you actually had a 90-0 lead. Okay, so once again, you notice that you are late to the rotation. Coming out of spawn, watch. Everybody else gets out there. Okay, you're pulling them out. Your Ryan's already up. I would have Swiss stepped already, right? I would have Swiss stepped a few seconds ago. Right? Like here, Swiss step already. Because you're not going to need Swiss step at the start of the fight. Again, your Ryan goes around the corner. He's already engaged with the enemy. And you turn the corner now. Right? The Ryan's already swinging at each other. You should already have been here, already healing. You throw some kunais. I don't think they're super high value kunais, but I guess if you really want to, I would prioritize making sure that my tank has more health. As somebody who plays tank all the time, when I have more health than the opposing tank, I play very differently. If I have less health than the opposing tank, I play more passively. Simply keeping me up means that I know that I'm being pocketed, and it can allow me to be more aggressive. And in Ryan versus Ryan, a lot of it is simply reading, can I bully, or am I going to be bullied in this situation? And again, keeping your Ryan up is really important to recognizing like how it's going to happen. You're going to Suzu here, which is good, right? So try to throw Suzu a little earlier. Okay. So, again, remember one of the things I talked about is you throw too many kunais, right? So your Ryan charges in, which is a mistake, but your Ryan is trying to hold space here. And in the previous video, I talked about this for like 10 minutes. But your Ryan is actually playing very well. Because let's watch what happens from your Ryan's perspective. So Ryan comes in. Ryan comes in neutral, okay? He walks forward with confidence, understands the other team is not here to assist, plays extremely aggressively into their Ryan, which scares their Ryan, right? Their Ryan should not be that scared. He actually has 2 healers here. He should not lose this fight, but the rest of his team is just not present for whatever reason. Backs up. Your Ryan has made tremendous space, has basically won you the point already. And then he tries to bully Ryan a little more. Fine, whatever, is what it is. And then he's going to go in. This is silly for him to try to go in again. Right? He gets purple, you Suzu it, great, comes back, right? Point is going to start getting capped. He recognizes the Ryan is rotating, and he charges over there to hopefully get a pin on the Ryan. Misses it, right? I think he should have canceled it before going all the way, but he comes back, and he's holding this choke. Now, in this situation, the only way you lose this point, I hope you would agree, is if your Ryan dies, okay? Your team has a massive positional advantage here. The only way you lose is if the Ryan dies. So, when they start aggressing, and they have to walk in, right? Because the situation's never going to get any better for them. You know what I mean? It's like 5-on-5. If they die or reset, it's going to be the same situation coming out here again. Their best case scenario is just to push in right now, which is exactly what they do. The other team's doing the correct thing. That means they're going to do a lot of damage to your Ryan right now. Your Ryan's missing 100 health. You're missing kunais right now for no value. Alright? And now your Ryan is missing only 50. And you might think, okay, that's not a big deal. But remember before, on the previous point, where your Ryan got low and then you started healing and then you could never keep up with the amount of damage coming in? It's very important as Kiriko to keep people topped off. I'm arguably for all the healing supports, but like, it's very important to keep your Ryan as close to max as possible, because the decision making, the calculus of how they decide to make space and how much damage they had to do is a huge difference depending on whether or not they're full on health or not. Okay, especially the last amount of healing is, or the highest, the latest amount of healing. The healing comes at the very end is the most important because it gives you armor, which is much more efficient than regular healing. Right? Throwing kunais right now is fine, right? Your Ryan's basically full. I would start healing again. As soon as he drops like 50 health off max, I would keep healing. Right? Again, your Ryan's boss does super well. I would have Swift Step there. Why not? You already know the front line's fight. It's one. The second this has happened, it's over. I Swift Step, I turn. Right? Look, Swift Step right now. Why? Because I don't even want to risk my Cassidy dying here. Right? The worst case scenario is the Tracer kills the Cassidy and then gets away. And then their team has the ability to come back 5-on-4, or your Cassidy gets camped by the Tracer. Alright? Very important, your Cassidy does not die here. You let him drop all the way to critical, he could have died here. Right? And you're still playing off. There's no reason. You can go to the Cassidy. It's okay. You can go to the Cassidy. See? Like, you're so late on this. Right? You could have switched up way earlier, made sure your Cassidy decisively won the fight, and then died back to the front. And now you're late for this rotation back here. As an example of one of those micro decisions you should have done differently. Alright, back to your Ryan. Your Ryan holding the choke, doing a good job. Your Ryan is, by the way, definitely outplaying their Ryan like all game long. So, you're playing over here. The problem with this is if your Ryan steps back from the choke, which is entirely reasonable, right? Because they might take a lot of damage back from the choke. Once he steps here, what do? You don't heal him, right? Then you have to step to the right, and you miss an entire cycle worth of healing. That's the problem with playing this position. You should be playing here, not here, right? Like right here is perfect. You're playing too far back and on the wrong left side instead of right side of cover. It's also much easier for you to spam, and Anna could shoot you. Fire Strike obviously hits you. Like, this stuff would not happen if you're standing here. There's no angle for them to hit you, right? That close, tight angle, that's where you want to be. All right. As mentioned, your Ryan backs up and then goes in. And now your Ryan is behind, okay? Healing that I guarantee you could have gotten at least 200 more healing if you've been standing here. So think of your Ryan with 200 more health right now, and then watch what happens. Instantly dies. This is you, right? This is all you in this situation, is that you didn't keep your Ryan up. A, you could have given your Ryan more healing. B, if you're where the Lucia is, playing a lot closer, you could have thrown Suzu down. This far away, I think you realize you didn't have the time to react to how dire the situation got so quickly. This is a bad charge, right? I don't agree with this charge, but like, he did it. Teammates make mistakes, but you should have covered for this, right? You should have been there healing him more. A, B, you should have been throwing the Suzu. Neither of which you did, and the fight ends up being effectively over here. Charge die. Yep, it's fine. So, I'll highlight another. I think I would consider this a high Masters, low GM level play. They have 1 point, and whenever this happens, you have to choose between, do I die on point or do I try to get out? Okay? If you're on point, choose to die on point. Right? Like your Lucio here, probably should just die on point. Right? You just stall out, get as much percentage as you can. You, if you're on point, could climb up here, right? And just like go down the other side and climb back up and just be really annoying. Right? Climb over one side, come back, whatever it is, to try to stall for time and get a few more extra percentage on. Because your life doesn't mean that much. Right now, where 2 have just died, your life doesn't mean very much. But at this point, you can't get on the point anymore. Like, you try to cross this open gap as suicide anyway, it's not going to accomplish anything. However, you could recognize that their whole team is going to be bombing towards point in a straight line, and you could try to double headshot somebody along the way. I think that is the highest value thing you could do right now. Right? So this Junkrat, for example, right? You have like probably 4 kunais that you could safely throw before you need to get out. And if you get a pick there, you can go in 5-on-4. And that's how you can make a big impact for your team, right? Again, you're very safe in that situation because of the fact that they're all preoccupied with running to the point and killing your Lucio. Okay. So we'll see you again in real time. Alright, he's gone. That's fine. Right? Throw some more kunais to the Junkrat. Again, not the Rhine. Don't attack the Rhine. Right? The Ryan isn't going to die here. You know the Ryan's, like, in your heart, you have to know there is no way this Ryan's going to die. I don't care if you had 100% headshot accuracy, there is no world where this Ryan is going to die in this situation. But the back line, you only need to land 2 hits, 2 headshots on to get a kill. I would say in general, your kunai aim is very poor. I don't think I see you hit a headshot all game. But as I pointed out in this video, like 95% of advice has nothing to do with hitting kunais. This is probably the only time where I'm like, hey, yeah, actually throw kunais, right? Everything else, all the critical important moments have nothing to do with kunais and everything to do with healing and Suzu. Again, don't play this far back. You understand you're going to be pushing in soon, right? When Lucio comes in, don't step back here. Step forwards. All right, play here, or play here, or play here. You have a lot of options. Playing this far back is bad. Why? Because when your Ryan turns this corner, you won't be able to help him for several seconds. And that's, again, a lost cycle of healing. This is insane for the Ryan to do something. All right, so they rush here. Do you rush back? Probably, right? I think that you have advantage right now. I don't think you want to rush from this angle. I think you want to rush from the right. I think you should have popped it probably a couple of seconds earlier. I think you already should rush right here. Where you have momentum, you see their Ryan. Whenever you see Ryan versus Ryan and one Ryan has a shield up, that Ryan is losing. You know? Like, it's very obvious that Ryan does not think he's going to win the fight. That's why he's shielding. And he's going to take damage as a result. If you rush right now, I think this is an easy walkthrough win. You're late to this. Right? You're overextended. You throw the Suzu, but I believe the Suzu misses. Right? Because the junk can push you on your side. And then looking at your Suzu again. Right? It only gets you. Doesn't get your Ryan. Ryan's behind. Hits purple. Okay, you get beat. Alright, now's your moment. Right? Now if you want to throw kunais, you can throw kunais. Try not to get fire strikes. I would understand their Ryan's got to be getting close to Shatter, right? Because you're not seeing Shatter in quite a while. So, what happens here? All right, charge happens. Interesting that Suzu does not free charge. I did not know about that interaction. So, since I didn't know that interaction, you obviously didn't know it too, and he died. But obviously, you should have held that until after when you got close to the wall, and then you should have thrown Suzu to save the pin. The other alternative is when the Ryan was coming in right now, throw it a fraction of a second sooner, and then he would have phased through people instead of getting him after he got Suzu. Or rather, grabbing him before he got Suzu. Alright, you try to push forward. So, this same situation is going to happen later. Right, you're walking up. Again, I think you're playing way too passive here, right? Why are you so slow with this rotation? Just start walking forwards. Right? Get more aggressive. Yeah, you see you stop here. Why are you stopping? There's no reason to stop. Keep walking forwards. When you hear that junk tire, I think you stop moving before junk tire. Okay, yeah, so you hesitate right here with junk tire. Now, this is my perspective. The tire is doing what, like you hear to the left, you know it's somewhere around here, right? Here or high ground, probably here, because you haven't really had time for your junk rat to go high ground. So, the tire is going one of two places. Option number one, it comes towards you. Option number two, it goes towards the point. If it goes towards you, you have the option of Suzuing or swift stepping away to try to avoid it. Okay, swift step takes a while, so I would assume swift step is probably not a realistic option to dodge it. I think Suzu is a realistic option to dodge it. Not like 100% by any means, like let's say 50% odds. If the tire kills you, do you win this point? Tough to say, right? But like you have people who are still low. I don't feel confident that I win the point if I die to this tire. That my team will win this point if I die to the tire. All right? Option two, you come to the team. Tire comes for you, right? You have Ryan Shield to potentially block it. You have your team to potentially kill it because it will be coming towards your team, so it's easier for them to kill versus if it's coming towards you. And you can Suzu to save your team. Well, if you fail to Suzu it, / it gets through, then it kills your whole team, you definitely don't get the point. But if you Suzu it, you definitely win the point. I think we can agree, right? If you block the tire with Suzu, for sure you win this point. There's no world where you lose this point if you block the tire. I think the right call here is actually to swift step to point on the Rhine, play right here, look for the tire, and then Suzu right away. All right? Because it's like saying, okay, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. The problem is if you split your eggs, if the tire kills either group, you still lose the fight. So it is better to give your team like a 50% chance or whatever you think it is of you Suzuing it correctly. It's better to give your team that 50% chance than it is to give you a much lower chance. Because if it goes towards point, like they're just and they die, like there's nothing you could do about it. There's no way you can throw Suzu from this far. And I want you to remember this scenario because this exact same scenario is going to happen at the end of the game. So tire comes out. You should have been attacking, by the way. Kills 2. Right? And when it kills 2, I think you throw the Suzu as well. Right? But this Suzu is like nowhere close. Nowhere close to being able to do anything. Right? This Suzu is not even like, at least chuck it towards your team. This is like half the distance. So your Ryan's like, okay, he's purple, he's lost 2, he's gonna try to do his best to, I think killing that trap is very important. I don't think your Ryan saw it. I don't think your Ryan should have gone to the left, that's not your fault. The Ryan should not have gone to the left there. Right? You get a kill, unfortunately your Ryan had just died, so it's gonna be very little. Alright, every bit of healing right now is important because they have 2 main healers and you don't. You only have 1. You cannot afford to be missing this many papers. You have to be landing the Afuda on your right. Again, a scenario where you go to the left, but you should be going to the right. Recognizing your Ryan's position. Again, you see how many cycles of healing you missed here? Right? You missed 300-ish health on your Ryan right now. Your Ryan should be basically full if you had been healing. Again, don't go to the right here. Your Ryan went to the left, broke LOS, and you're unable to heal. These little micro positional mistakes cause you to lose literally thousands of healing over the course of this game. On a hero with auto-tracking healing, you should not be missing this much healing on your Ryan. Alright, so multiple things start happening here. Number 1, your Ryan charges in, which is crazy. Number 2, their Ryan charges in, which is also crazy. Neither of these things make a whole lot of sense to me, but, you know, that's what you get. Number 3, high noon happens right now. Right? So, this is bad, obviously. What do you end up doing? Right? You end up drifting over to the Ryan who is charging for question mark reasons. I don't know why you decided you saw the Ryan going to the right. That you can hear. Alright, we'll play this out. I would have honestly just stuck with the Ryan. The Lucio knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? You see the Lucio goes to the right, and then you go to the right as well. He knows he knows he's purple. If he feels unsafe, he can easily play back, get out of his position, go and get the Mega. Don't try to heal your Lucio. Like, he's going in, which means he knows that he's safe in this situation. You should just stay with the Ryan and stay to the left of the pillar. Right? You should be right here, not right here. So right there, I'm going to play back so we can hear the directional voice line. All right, so you hear the left, okay? So there's basically 2 options. Option number 1, he's standing right here, which seems very unlikely because you have not heard or seen him since. Option 2 is he's playing high ground to your left. The directional audio will tell you that it's only one of those 2 possible locations. So your perspective is either I have to get behind this, right? I have to time the Suzu to not die the high noon, or I can get over here. Any of these are viable options, all right? I think your best option here is to actually go this way, because I do not trust that if I Swiss step over here, I won't end up still being visible, right? The Lucio needs to get a lot closer. The Swiss step might put me slightly further away. I don't trust that. This way, however, definitely means that I live. I think if I were you, first of all, I don't know why you drifted to the right. As previously mentioned, watch. All right, you're over here on the left. Let's watch in slow-mo. Why are you going to the right as though you're going to, like, face tank the Rhine? You know, like, this is not where you want to be. This is, like, a very confusing misplay by you. So put you in a weird spot. High noon's off. I think the right call is to swift step to the Cassidy or the Ride. You see the Ride's already shielding, right? The Ride's already, okay, this is coming. Swift step to either one of them, and then Suzu if you need to, and then go on with your life. Instead, let's watch this in real time. High noon, slow. Now, to be fair, you die pretty quickly here. But I think you had the opportunity to Suzu yourself and then swift step, right? Which is also a way that guarantees that you die. I am surprised they charged that quickly, but I think you certainly had multiple options to not die. Oh, I think when you watch from this perspective, it's clear just how long this takes. You had plenty of time. Also, you would have heard the Cassidy shooting, which would have tipped you off to look for him, right? From here, you have a lot of time here to do something about this, right? This is like 2 full seconds. Yeah, this is 2 full seconds that you had to react to it. At Masters, you had so much time to react and not die to this. Anyway, that's a big, big death. I think if you don't die there, maybe keep out. I mean, Nano Ryan's definitely going to be a problem. But if you save Suzu, you also had Rush, right? Rush definitely would be a reasonable counter to Nano. Okay, you die. Okay. So my memory of that Junker Tire situation, that was the only one that happened. So forget my saying that happened at the end of the game. All right. So summarizing again. Number 1, too much attacking, not enough healing. Number 2, your healing mechanics themselves have a long way to go. There's a lot of missed healing that you do, a lot, just from not tracking people correctly, healing before it's auto-targeted, whatever it ends up being. Number 3, optimizing your micro positioning, right? We talked about that lots of times where you're like, you should have been left when you should have been right. You should have been forward or you should have been backward, whatever it was. Lots of little things. And finally, decision making. I think this is a really great replay to look at, again, for like low Masters level gameplay to kind of see what's required to excel at the highest levels, right? Once you're a Masters, you're already top 5% or whatever of all players out there. So I think this was a very useful video. Thank you for asking for a review, because I think it was a true pleasure to watch this and be able to dissect and discuss all the things that you could have done differently, even that you're already low Masters. I think there's a lot of space you can see for your own growth. Okay, hope this is helpful.